The National Desk, America's News, now.
A deadly derecho slams the Midwest, leaving destruction and power outages in its wake. Who's in danger of deadly storms tonight as the threat moves east?
The whole thing, I think, just needs to have a better explanation so that the American people and everyone can feel comfortable.
More questions and answers being offered days after an assassination attempt and the latest threat from a foreign government that preceded the weekend. Then, getting medical advice from a social media app. Just how many people use TikTok as their #1 source for information? This is the National Desk, America's News Now. I'm Amira David. Several cities in the Midwest now cleaning up the damage caused by severe storms overnight, killing at least one person. Heavy rain, flooding, dangerous wind, and tornadoes left widespread destruction, hitting the Chicago area especially hard. The National Weather Service tracking up to 10 tornadoes on the ground last night. And tonight, over 200,000 people are still without power. In southern Illinois, hundreds of residents of the city of Nashville are under evacuation orders because the storms caused 2 separate dams to break. And we're not out of the woods yet. 60 million Americans are still at risk for severe storms tonight, from the Central Plains to the Northeast. The greatest threat over parts of the Central Plains and Upper Ohio Valley to parts of the northern Mid-Atlantic and western New England areas. Heat is the other big story we are tracking, with more than 125 million people under heat alerts right now, bringing extremely dangerous conditions to several states. The nation's capital tied a daily temperature record of 104 degrees today, not seen since 1988. The good news is a cold front this week will start to bring some relief in many areas by Thursday. It is day 2 of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Outside of the venue this afternoon, about a mile away from the convention center, a person was shot and killed by a Columbus, Ohio police officer. Columbus, as did many other cities, dispatched officers to Milwaukee to assist with the security there because of hundreds of thousands of people that would be in the area. Exact details of the shooting are still unknown at this hour, but we will bring you the developments just as soon as we get them here at the National Desk. Meanwhile, inside on the convention floor, excitement is very much building after former President Trump made a surprise appearance, the first since he survived an assassination attempt, and revealed that Ohio Senator J.D. Vance would be his running mate. National correspondent Atra Al-Nashar joining us live now from inside the convention about how some in the party are changing their tune in an attempt to show unity. Atra.
Good evening, Amira. Good to be with you. You know, we are less than 4 months until Election Day, so Republican Party leaders here in Milwaukee are standing firm behind their presidential nominee. But it cannot be ignored, it cannot be overlooked how long it took for some others in the party to get there, to openly support former President Trump as the GOP nominee. One of those people is now his running mate. For the first time, former President Trump and now vice presidential hopeful J.D. Vance appearing side by side as running mates. Just a few years ago, it's not a position Vance likely would have chosen.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
That was 2016. Vance walked back his criticism when he launched his Senate campaign in the 2022 midterms. Monday night, explaining himself in his first TV interview since joining the ticket.
You literally said, you texted a friend, that Trump is a cynical a-hole like Nixon who wouldn't be that bad and might even prove useful, and that he's America's Hitler.
I was certainly skeptical of Donald Trump in 2016, but President Trump was a great president, and he changed my mind. I think he changed the minds of a lot of Americans because, again, he delivered that peace and prosperity.
Then there's former UN ambassador and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. In a last-minute schedule change, she'll address the convention tonight after releasing her delegates so they could support Trump. She's expected to call on voters to get behind Trump, but it was just a little more than 4 months ago that she was running against him in the presidential primary, so adamant to beat him that she was the last Republican to drop out.
Donald Trump is the nominee of the Republican Party. We will have a President Kamala Harris. That's just a fact. There is no way that the American people are going to vote for a convicted criminal.
Not sharing in the party's unity is Trump's former vice president, Mike Pence. This morning, he shared a post on social media criticizing some of the RNC speakers and argued his party is moving too far to the left to appeal to union workers and is too lax on gutting abortion access. So tonight's theme is Make America Safe once again, with a focus on crime issues, on border policy, and generally, especially in the past year, Amira, polls have shown us that the situation at the U.S.-Mexico border is something voters are paying attention to, and is consistently ranking as one of their top issues.
And Atra, we've just learned the details of Trump and Vance's first rally together in battleground state of Michigan. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, this rally is significant and symbolic in a few ways. It'll take place exactly 1 week after the attempted assassination of former President Trump. It's his first rally since then. It's his first rally with J.D. Vance, his running mate. And it's not just in a battleground state that I know you're very familiar with, Michigan. It is also in a battleground county. Kent County is just about as purple as it gets. It's helped decide the last few elections. It's so important, and Trump knows it. It was actually his last campaign stop in 2016 before he won the presidency.
Yeah, we all remember that. Michigan, the big prize they're all vying for. Live in Milwaukee for us, Atra Al-Nashar, thank you so much for that reporting. Guilty, a jury has convicted New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez on all 16 charges of accepting bribes of cash, gold, and a luxury car from 3 New Jersey businessmen in exchange for political favors. Deliberations began on Friday after a trial that lasted more than 2 months. As of yet, no sentencing date has been scheduled for the senator. The senator, meantime, maintains his innocence and says that he will appeal the verdict. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, however, he's already calling on Senator Bob Menendez to resign. In a post on X, Schumer says Menendez must do what is right for his constituents, the Senate, and the country by stepping down. His conviction does not stop him from serving in the Senate. 57-year-old David Dutch, who was shot in the chest on Saturday at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, is now awake out of a medically induced coma. His condition has been upgraded, thankfully, from critical to stable. The other victim, 74-year-old James Copenhaver, is also now in stable condition. House Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green is calling for Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, and FBI Director Christopher Wray to testify before the committee next Tuesday. Meanwhile, Congressman Corey Mills wants Congress to investigate further into what happened and how.
I would like to look at this and say, where was the mistake made? How can we correct it in the future? Why was this actually done? But I think that this does warrant a J13 type of commission where we can actually look at it and say, let's investigate and find out why this happened so it doesn't happen to anyone. This is not about a political thing. This is about we had an attempt to assassinate a president.
Still, new details are beginning to emerge about the timeline of Saturday's shooting as the Secret Service remains under scrutiny for Saturday's shooting. The National Desk's Kayla Gaskins has the latest.
And we are here to Kimberly Cheadle, head of the Secret Service, breaking her silence Monday.
The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service.
Sitting down with ABC News for her first interview since the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump.
It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
The Secret Service under intense scrutiny for the massive security breakdown. Patrick Yoes, president of the National Fraternal Order of Police, taking issue with a spokesman for the Secret Service who, he said, suggested local law enforcement was supposed to be posted in the area. In a statement, Yoes said, "This is a failure at the management or command level."
It's one of those situations where, you can delegate authority, but you can't delegate responsibility.
President Biden also pointing fingers at local law enforcement during a Monday interview with NBC's Lester Holt.
There's a major piece of this relates to domestic, local law enforcement. They play a large role.
The Secret Service releasing a statement overnight saying any news suggesting the Secret Service is blaming local law enforcement is simply not true.
Who is most responsible for this happening?
What I would say is that the Secret Service is responsible.
Here's what we're learning the shooter did in the days before opening fire. On Friday, he went to a shooting range in Pittsburgh where he lived and practiced. On Saturday morning, he went to Home Depot and bought a ladder. Later that same morning, he went to a gun store and bought 50 rounds of ammunition. After that, he made the hour drive north to Butler, where the Trump rally was taking place, and he was spotted by cops 26 minutes before firing shots. And about a minute and a half before the shooting, people in the crowd took notice of the shooter, one onlooker taking this video. We're also learning the local sniper team was stationed inside the building, positioned on the second floor, while the gunman was on the roof. Investigators gained access to the shooter's phone, computer, and home, but say they still haven't found evidence of why he tried to kill President Trump. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins for the National Desk, America's News Now.
Meanwhile, CNN is reporting that Secret Service had been increasing its security for Donald Trump after receiving intel suggesting Iran had a plot to kill the former president. There's no evidence to suggest that Thomas Matthew Crooks was connected to that plot. The details of the Iranian scheme are unknown. School districts in California can no longer require staff to tell parents about their child's gender identity or sexual orientation. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law banning those kinds of school rules, making California the first state to do that. Advocates say it helps protect LGBTQ+ students, but critics say it reduces schools' ability to be transparent. At least 11 people, including 2 firefighters, are being treated right now for injuries, one we know of in serious condition, after a fire broke out early this morning at a New York apartment building. Police are investigating the blaze as arson. Witnesses at the scene telling investigators they saw a man in his 50s running away after possibly starting that fire. Residents woke up to smoke before 3 a.m. and the fire was put out within an hour. Arrests for illegal border crossings have declined. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says arrests went down 29% from the month of May to June, to the lowest count seen in President Biden's term so far. The weekly average of daily arrests also plunged by more than half by the end of June. Officials say it's due to the president's new restrictions that halt asylum processing when daily arrests reach over 2,000. Coming up, the new step the DNC is taking to improve President Biden's odds in battleground states as he continues his campaigning. Then shoppers are flocking to Amazon today for Prime Day deals, but some lawmakers are raising concerns, the accusations they make in a scathing report. Plus, why health officials believe many states are reporting a sudden spike in COVID cases. We'll be right back. Right now, a live look at Las Vegas, where President Joe Biden has resumed his campaigning after taking a short pause in the wake of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. The president just spoke at the NAACP National Convention, and a separate appearance is set for tomorrow at the Conference for Unidos US, a Latino civil rights and advocacy group. Nevada is a critical state for both Biden and Donald Trump, now in a neck-and-neck race. As Biden does the talking, so will the money that backs him. As we learn, the DNC is pouring $15 million into state parties in 7 top battleground states, including Nevada. It's the earliest such infusion of cash into pivotal states in recent history. It'll be used to open more field offices and hire more staff members. The unprecedented infusion comes as billionaire CEO Elon Musk says that he plans to donate $45 million a month to a Trump super PAC. Musk coming out endorsing Trump for president after that attempted assassination over the weekend. And the political violence, by the way, also seemingly bringing to a halt efforts to get President Biden to step aside over concerns for his age and mental acuity. National correspondent Matt Gelka is taking a look now at where those efforts stand.
The president had been facing a growing mutiny in his party, asking him to abandon his re-election bid. The bad press came to a stop when there was an attempt on former President Donald Trump's life.
Do you feel like you've weathered the storm on this issue of whether you should be on the ticket or not?
Look, 14 million people voted for me to be the nominee in the Democratic Party. Okay? I listen to them.
While the focus is on Trump and the Republican National Convention this week, 2 dueling Democratic forces are working behind the scenes. The New York Times reports the DNC will try to get Biden nominated through a virtual process as early as next week. It could come weeks before the party's mid-August convention. Meanwhile, California Democratic Congressman Jared Huffman told the outlet to try to squelch debate and jam this through is a power play of the highest order. Huffman had already expressed concerns about Biden's candidacy.
If he decides that now is the time to pass the torch in the interest of everything that he's done and everything we care about, I will consider him a hero once again.
Huffman is reportedly passing around a letter with colleagues asking to delay the nomination. Axios obtained the letter, which reads in part, "There is no legal justification for this extraordinary and unprecedented action, which would effectively accelerate the nomination process by nearly a month." The president is still getting widespread party support. One of his biggest backers, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, posted on social media for his fellow Dems to cut the. The president was hit with another bad public poll this week, this time out of Virginia, a state that hasn't voted Republican in 20 years. It showed Donald Trump with a 3-point lead in the state, a reversal from January when Biden had a 3-point lead. For the National Desk in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
Matt, thank you. And tonight on the campaign trail, President Biden announcing a proposal to cap rent price hikes at no more than 5% a year. Under the proposal, if a landlord who owns more than 50 units breaks that limit, they would lose access to large tax breaks. In the past 4 years, housing units have seen increased rents of up to 26% nationally. And though inflation has cooled a bit, rent prices are up 5.2% annually in June. The proposal would need to be passed by Congress before President Biden would be able to sign anything into law. Amazon Prime Day is today and tomorrow, some of the most lucrative selling days for the online retailer. But a new Senate report casts a shadow over the company after determining the annual sale event is a major cause of employee injuries. The preliminary results of a year-long investigation relying on internal company data showed conditions for employees were worse around peak shopping times. An Amazon rep has called the report inaccurate. Where do you get your health advice from? Around 1 in 3 Gen Z Americans say they get it from TikTok. That's according to a new survey by Zing Coach that found 56% of Gen Z respondents use the app for advice on wellness, diet, and fitness, and 34% say they use it as their primary source. The top reason for that, they say, because it is free. In your health alert tonight, the struggle to lose weight and improve health is one many can relate to. Tonight, our Liz Bonus takes a look at one type of fitness that could help you finally meet your goals.
How is everybody today?
Perhaps no one here at this body resistance program is a better example of that than Joelle Tunning. She's down now more than 80 pounds with the help of resistance training. What's up? Her bone strength.
Our bone density diminishes as we age. We lose as much as 5% per year of our bone density. And resistance training particularly is so good for building the bone density back.
That bone density,
All right, next station.
now linked to a longer lifespan, according to a recent NIH study. People who don't break bones live longer.
I think women tend to shy away from the resistance training part because they think they're going to bulk up. But women just don't have enough testosterone in their body. Working out once or twice a week, you're not going to get huge. You're just going to build good muscle tone, bone density. All kinds of wonderful things are going to happen in your body.
Joelle is now the instructor here at Ohio's Core Fitness for a program for women affectionately known as the Circuit Sisters. Each circuit stop builds, stretches, or pulls a part of the body. Jean Greger says these exercises get a lot easier with time.
I can get through all of them without really feeling badly.
As I found out, many are harder than they seem on the surface.
And what's the slamming doing?
It's called plyometrics. It is a quick, powerful action with the body that works on different types of muscles in the body.
In addition to bone building, resistance and strength training also promotes greater flexibility and range of motion. Best part about that, as Donna Buckley knows, it translates really well into everyday health.
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah, bending over to get something at home or squatting down and getting back up.
Coming up, the issues with the cargo ship that led to the dramatic collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge are more common than you might think. When we come back, how frequent these malfunctions really are. We have reporters all across the country in your neighborhoods covering the issues that matter most to you. We're taking the pulse of America.
Rose Joseph starting again in Springfield, Ohio. She left Haiti in 2020 as the country declined into chaos with virtually no working government and gang violence ruling the street. She came to the U.S. legally and spent a year in Miami before hearing about a more affordable life and plentiful jobs in the Midwest.
We heard a lot about work opportunities in Indiana and Ohio.
Springfield's mayor says those immigrants are straining his city's resources.
But we're saying anywhere between 15 and 20,000 immigrants is what we're seeing within our community.
Rob Rue says his police and fire departments are staffed for 60,000 people. He needs more cops and firefighters to handle the steadily increasing population.
General Ship Repair has been repairing all kinds of ships for a century.
Ship malfunctions are, more common than people think.
Page through the U.S. Coast Guard's incident investigations like we did, and you'll see how common they are. Since March 26th, the day the Dolly took down Baltimore's Key Bridge, the Coast Guard documented 201 ships that lost power, lost propulsion, lost steering, or suffered equipment failure. Adrift ships rarely take down a bridge like the Dolly did, but the Coast Guard's records show hundreds run aground, sink, or damage bridge support structures every year.
Virginia is one of many states suddenly reporting a spike in COVID cases. Health officials believe the abnormally hot weather and 2 new variants are some of the reasons for that. These highly contagious variants make up more than half of the cases nationwide. Positivity rates are up about 20%.
At this point, I think that the increase in cases is driven more by the newer variants being more able to transmit themselves even better than Omicron, which was even better than the original COVID, which was even better at transmitting itself than pretty much any other virus.
Coming up, it is the Summer Classic, when Major League Baseball's best take the field. What's at stake for each league when we come back? Tonight, the National League and American League meet in their 94th Major League Baseball All-Star game in Arlington, Texas. This year's rosters are packed with newbies, along with some recognizable names like the Dodgers' Shohei Ohtani. Last season, the National League picked up a 3-2 win and snapped a 9-game losing streak in the Midsummer Classic. The question is, can the NL do it again? The last time the National League won consecutive All-Star games was between 2010 and 2012. The AL has won 21 of the past 26 games since 1997. So, of course, that means they're favored to have the advantage here. But regardless of the odds, past games have been nail-biters, coming down to just 1 run. Showtime is at 8 p.m. Eastern. Grab your popcorn, get ready. For you baseball fans out there, happy watching. That does it for this edition of the National Desk. We do invite you to join us again this evening for more coverage of America's top stories. Just check your local listings for times. I'm Amira David. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.